Greetings to everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our literature reading session. Today, we are reading from the talks on the Bhagavad Gita from the topic distinction between the self and non self. So, relating to that topic, I tried to gather some information for us and tried to understand this concept on Tattvamasi. That is a Sanskrit word, and it is a very profound statement from the Hindu texts. And it is especially one of the four great sayings from the Upanishads. They call these great sayings as Mahakavyas. So this saying is from Tattvamasi, Tat Tvam Asi. That's how it is said. It actually translates to that you are, thou art that. And the same concept in the four Vedas, it is described little by little differently. Rig Veda says Brahman, the ultimate, is the consciousness. And Yajurveda, they lay importance on I am that ultimate consciousness, I am Brahman. And in this Samaveda, they say that Tattvamasi, thou art that. And the Atharva Veda, as they call it, in that Veda, it says, this soul is Brahman, that is, I am Atma Brahman. That means this soul of mine is the Brahman ultimate. So, the core idea is the essential unity of the individual self, which is the soul or the Atman, with the ultimate reality, which is the Brahman. It is not just a philosophical concept in the Vedic times. It was not just a philosophy that you try to understand, but it was a truth to be realized through self inquiry, spiritual practice, and tapas, as they called. So, this concept of realizing the ultimate, that there is no difference between you and the ultimate, it was not a philosophy. It was a truth to be realized. That's why they gave the truths as small statements from the Vedic times. Thou art that, ultimate is the consciousness, I am the ultimate consciousness, the soul is the ultimate consciousness. All these are the seeds that the sages gave so the beings could, with sadhana, realize the truth. And then, when times went on, different teachers came and different kinds of Vedantas, philosophies. One was a non dualistic dualism philosophy, and in this was championed by sage Adi Shankara. And he says the complete identity between Atman and Brahman. He says there is no separation. The soul is not separate from the ultimate. It is the ultimate itself. It is the Brahman itself. But you perceive it as separation because you are caught up in illusion. And that can be transcended once you, it is transcended through knowledge, according to him. And there is another philosophy where it is a non-dualism. It is called Vishishtadvaita. Advaita, Vishishtadvaita in Sanskrit. That was guided by a teacher, Ramanuja. And he was the one who said Tattvamasi. That is, seen is signifying that this individual soul is inseparable, but it is a distinct part of that Brahman. The soul is not separate, but it is a part of the Brahman. Like he describes, the body is a part of the soul. There is a deep connection. The individual soul yet retains its identity. The identity is there. So, soul, Atman, and the Brahman, they are of the same, but there is some individual identity, according to Ramanuja. And there is this philosophy of Dvaita, as it's called. and the teacher was Madhvacharya or somebody. And they say that the individual soul and the Brahman are eternally distinct. They feel the oneness is like a qualitative but not quantitative, like they explain it like oneness between the drop and the ocean. When the drop is surrounded with the dirt, it is separate from the ocean. When that is removed, it is part of the ocean. So this phrase Tattvamasi keeps appearing in so many places. And another place that the Upanishads talk about this one, which our master Chariji has talked about, and that is from the Chandogya Upanishad, where this sage called Uddalaka, he is teaching his son Swetaketu. And this is series of talks where he is trying to make his son understand the truth of this nature of the Brahman, the nature of the ultimate. And he compares this Brahman to the subtle essence like a banyan tree seed. He says, shows the seed. He shows the plant and says, where this plant come from? Seed. The son says seed. So he says, cut the seed. What is in it? There is nothing. And the father says, from this nothingness, the potential of this ultimate banyan tree exists. So it is essence of everything is Brahman, and that essence is in you, my son, says this sage. So the Bhagavad Gita per se doesn't talk about this phrase of Tattvamasi, but it teaches us the nature of the soul and its relationship with the ultimate supreme being. And the teaching of Gita is a practical guide to arrive at the state of Tattvamasi, that you are that. So Tattvamasi is a state of being. Sadhana leads you to that state. So it is in the ancient texts, this statement is supposed to be a powerful tool. Thou art that. You are part of Brahman. You are Brahman. You are that consciousness. They all said it in different ways. It's supposed to be considered a powerful tool for liberation. So the realization of this truth is thought to dissolve the ignorance and the ego, freeing a person from the cycle of birth and death. And it is a call to look beyond the physical body, mind, and personality and recognize one's essence, the true eternal nature that is one with the cosmic consciousness. But where people went by mistake was, people started to meditate, I am Tattvamati, I am Brahman, I am. And that is why Babuji said, remove the I from there. So the truth the masters gave, that you are that. But by repeating that truth like a parakeet, you are not going to get there. The way was given in the Bhagavad Gita and in the heartfulness methods, where by meditating on that ultimate presence and by experiencing it, by becoming one with it, you realize you are that. That is why there was no temple worship in the Vedas at all. They worshipped the self as the Brahman, the ultimate. So I gathered those thoughts so we can understand this next part of the Bhagavad Gita that Vinobha Bhave is explaining to all of us. You are that. Therefore, the idea that the Lord is putting forth in the 13th chapter is extremely valuable. You are not the body, you are the self, Tattvamasi. This thought, this saying is most noble, sublime, and holy. We find this idea everywhere in the Sanskrit literature. That's why I gathered that information so I can share with all of us. So all of us together are learning. I didn't know that before. I just learned. You are not the outer cover. You are the pure, indestructible kernel within. The moment a man realizes that he is that, the Supreme Self, and not the body, a new kind of joy that has never been experienced before will surge up in the mind. That is why we experience joy in meditation is the moment we move away from the body consciousness, the earth plane, to the soul plane, you start to experience. Because soul is ether. The first thing that came, the element that came into existence when creation began, ether, that space. Space is close to God. That is why in this discovery, Babuji is allowing us to go through this so you can experience that Brahman even at the lower planes. So now, because of the taste, you have the yearning to move forward. Nothing in the world can destroy, nothing is capable of destroying the self. This subtle thought is implied in this saying. I am the self, the imperishable, unsullied element transcending the body. I have been given this body for the sake of the self. Whenever there is likelihood of that divine element getting sullied, I shall discard the body to prevent that happening. I shall ever be ready to keep the divine flame glowing. I have not come into the world riding this body to demean and humiliate myself. I must have control over the body. I shall use it for the well being of all. That is why this famous statement of Paropakarardham Vidam Sariram, that your body is there to serve others. It is a vehicle for you to take you to the divine abode. I shall fill the universe with this bliss. I shall sacrifice the body at the altar of a great principle and acclaim the glory of the divine. A rich man throws away clothes the moment they are soiled and puts on new ones. I shall treat the body in the same way. The body is needed for work. When it becomes useless for the purpose, I would not hesitate to throw it away. So, if we have body consciousness, we are clinging to the dirty clothes. This is what we are learning from Satyagraha. The body and the self are separate entities. The day a man realizes this truth and its significance, his true education and true development will begin. It is only then that he will be able to offer Satyagraha successfully. Therefore, each one of us should imbibe this spirit in our hearts. The body just happens to be a means. It is only an instrument given to us by the Lord. It is to be discarded the moment it ceases to be of any use. We put away our winter wear in the summer. We put away the quilts used during the night when the day breaks. That is what should be done with the body. It is to be preserved as long as it is useful and flung aside when its utility is over. The Lord is showing us this way for spiritual development. Why is the Lord showing this for the spiritual development? Because everybody is caught up in the body consciousness. We are busy trying to save this body. I mean, the body is an instrument. We have to take care of it. Like a car, it's useful instrument for travel. You take care of it. But you cannot be attached to your car. It is just a vehicle. At an end to the power of tyrants, as long as we do not realize that we are distinct from the body, tyrants will continue to torment and enslave and torture us. It is fear that makes tyranny possible. So the moment we become body consciousness, what becomes overpowering is the fear of the death. There is a story of a demon who had captured a man. He would make him work around the clock. If he paused a little, the demon would threaten him, I shall kill and devour you. The frightened man would then submit meekly. But when the man could stand it no longer, he said, all right, if you want to kill and eat me up, do so by all means. But was the demon going to eat him up? What he wanted was a submissive servant. Who would do the work if the man were killed? The demon used to threaten the man with death. But the moment the man said, well, you may eat me up, the tyranny stopped. Tyrants know that people have intense attachment to their bodies. So if you inflict pain on their bodies, they will submit and become your slaves. Give up that attachment and you will be the master of all. You will be free. You will be all powerful. Nobody will then be able to exercise authority over you. The very basis of tyranny will break down. The power of the tyrants hinges on your identification with the body. They threaten and intimidate you because they think that if they inflict pain on your bodies, you would submit. And this is what a lot of false gurus do. They threaten you with emotions, with something bad will happen. And even we get threatened. Oh, if I don't go to the temple, I will be cursed. And my parents have done it. But now you have found a right way of worshipping Him. It is just that fear that makes us do those things. Fear makes us do things that your heart is telling you no. Your heart knows everything. The heart knows the truth. Why? Because the Brahman exists in it. That is the Brahman. That is the sacred place where the ultimate resides. You are that speck of that ultimate. So the heart always guides us correctly. But when we are not following the heart, you have an uncomfortable feeling. And we don't have the courage to do it because we are enslaved by the values of the past, which are not true values. When I feel that I am the body, others are induced to persecute and torment me. But look at the Cranmer, the British martyr. When he was going to be burnt at the stakes, he said, "If you would burn me, by all means do so. Here, burn this right hand first, for this hand hath offended." In the same vein, Latimer said, "We shall this day light such a candle by God's grace in England as shall never be put out." Their task was to burn the candle of the body to spread the light of truth. The body, in any case, being perishable, would perish one day. That is how brave the true soldiers on the path are. There is no more fear. When Socrates was sentenced to death by poison, he said, "I am old. This body would anyway have disintegrated soon. What is so great in putting to death that which is mortal? I fail to understand what is so great in killing that which is anyway mortal." The night before he was to drink hemlock, he was explaining to his pupils the immortality of the soul. He was merrily describing the pain he would feel with the spread of the poison in the body. When the discussion on the immortality of the soul was over, the pupil asked, "Sir, how should we bury you after your death?" Socrates exclaimed, "How clever you are! Is it that they will kill me and you will bury me? Is it that the killers are my enemies and you are a friend? They will kill me in their wisdom and you will bury me in your wisdom. Who are you, after all, to bury me? I shall be there even when all of you are dead and buried in your graves. Nobody can kill me. Nobody can bury me. What, after all, have I been explaining all along? The self is immortal. Who can kill it or bury it?" And the great Socrates has indeed outlived all of them. He is remembered even after more than 2000 years. And even recently, when I was traveling with Master, I saw this quote from Socrates that a life, an unexamined life, is not a worthy life to live. You have to examine your life. You have to face your shadow self. You have to look at your flaws. You have to try and transform. And that is the true courage. Faith in the power of Supreme Self. To sum up, as long as there is attachment to the body, as long as there is fear, a sense of insecurity would continue to haunt you. Because that is why all of us are scared of old age. We are scared of pain. But when you look at the masters, even until the last breath, they serve. Because to this day, my inspiration to serve came because few days before Chariji passed away, the last time I saw him, I was, I think, October before he passed away. I was permitted to go into his room. And he looked at me and he says, "Blessings, blessings, blessings." And I could feel the power entering into my heart. And that day I thought, I'm dying, even at the moment of death, the masters are working. If you drink the milk of your master, isn't it important for you to pay the debt of your mother? So we have to serve and not be scared of the consequences that will happen. That is what we have to learn from the lives of the master. He was suffering, he was in pain, yet he was transmitting from that moment. So the lives of masters are so courageous. We should be inspired by that. To sum up, as long as there is attachment to the body, as long as there is fear, a sense of insecurity would continue to haunt you. Would not a snake bite me in bed? Would not a thief come and attack me? Fears like these would not let you sleep even if you shut your eyes. You may sleep with a staff near the bed to use it against the thieves if they come. But can a thief not use the same staff to hit you? You are making the staff readily available to him in case he has forgotten to bring one with him. After all, on whom do you rely when you sleep? You are then totally dependent on others for protection. It is only when you are awake that the question of your protecting yourself arises. Who protects you when you are asleep? That is why Revered Daji gave us the technique. Put your lap in the you put your head in the lap of the master and fall asleep. We go to sleep trusting some power, the same power which all the animals trust when they sleep. Even a tiger goes to sleep. The lion, which has enmity with the whole world and which therefore looks back again and again with suspicion and apprehension while walking, also goes to sleep. Had there been no faith in that power, the lions would have had to evolve an arrangement of having a few of them keeping vigil while others sleep. We go to sleep in the lap of that all pervading power, relying on which savage tigers, lions, and wolves are also asleep. A child sleeps in his mother's lap happily and confidently. At that time, the child is, as it were, the master of the world. We too must learn to sleep in the lap of the Lord, the all sustaining mother, with love and trust and the knowledge that we are safe there. We should make ourselves more and more familiar with the power which sustains the whole of our life. We should feel the presence of that power more and more. The more we are convinced of its presence, the more shall we be secure. The more we feel the presence of the power, the more shall we grow. The 13th chapter in the Gita gives some indications of the steps needed to be taken in this direction. So, how do we feel this power and the presence? That is the point. Why we don't do that is we are not sensitive enough to feel that. Even though we know that He sees everything, He knows everything, and He listens to all, even the jingles of the ant are being heard by the Lord, we struggle. So, what makes us feel the presence? Sadhana. Removing the impurities. Progressive realization of the Supreme Self. Man is absorbed in ordinary worldly activities as long as there is no thought of the self within the body. He knows little else than eating when hungry, drinking when thirsty, sleeping when drowsy. To be able to do all these things, he will fight. He will crave for them. He is engrossed only in bodily activities. True development is yet to commence. The self only watches all this. So, this self watching this drama without being involved is the state of witnesshood. And if we can at least master the first point, the earth point, and whatever is going on around, if we are able to remain balanced, centered in ourselves, the self starts to witness the things with clarity. That is why journeying through that first point is of absolute necessity. And mastering that first point, taking time to meditate, The self only watches this. It stands silently like a mother keeping a watchful eye on her child crawling towards the well. It just looks at all the activities silently. This state has been described as that of a witness. The self watches but does not give its assent to what is being done. Why is the first point itself we will start to experience the witnesshood? Because what did Daji say the quality of the earth is? The quality of the earth is it doesn't get involved. So much is happening on the earth plane. Saints are born, sinners are born. Justice happens, injustice happens. The earth rotates on its axis, allowing everybody to go through their karma because they arrived on this earth plane to get rid of their karma. So she cannot get involved. Mother Earth cannot get involved with each being. And that is the state we arrive at when we master the first point. We have the glimpses of centeredness and glimpses of this witnesshood which begins and it culminates later on. The self watches but does not give its assent to what is being done. The jiva, which has still now been acting under the impression that it is nothing but the body, then wakes up. The realization dawns that it has been living like an animal. When the jiva comes to this point, the realm of ethic begins. Then the question whether something is right or wrong, moral or immoral, crops at every step. At this stage, man starts exercising rational discrimination. His analytical mind starts working. Impulsive actions cease. Self restraints take the place of self indulgence. All this, how this great sage Vinobha Bhave has explained, we experience in the journey. At first point, once we are balanced, we know how to manage the anger, we know how to manage the emotion, we know how to manage the fear. And as you go further in the journey, the witnesshood that began, it starts to become more stable once you master the fourth point, where the choiceless awareness happens. The mind withdraws. Chitta vritti nirodha. The mind doesn't get involved with the vrittis that are circling. It just let goes, and that cycle of the vrittis breaks down, falls apart. And then the mind arrives at that state of being of dhyanaja chitta, meditative mind. The mind that is now mastering the witnesshood. And now the mind that has mastered the witnesshood brings humility in the self because it realizes it's not that, because it's seeing clearly. It's able to see clearly, more clearly now because it is coming closer to the fifth point, which is the illusion. And if by the grace of the master, when we cross it, we have clarity. So that is why in the heart region, we are trapped in the avidya maya, ignorance, illusion filled with ignorance. So sadhana, as it leads us further step by step, mastering each point, puts us in the mind region where you are empowered with vidya maya. You are aware, but still you are in maya because there your ego starts to take over. You are aware, ego is not good for you. You are aware that the master is taking you. He is everything, you are nothing. You are aware that you have to develop humility, but still you fight with it. And you fight with that emotion state. That is why it's called Vidya Maya. You are still in an illusion, but you are aware of it. And again at the 10th point, to cross the Sahasradala Kamal, your Guru has to again make you cross that. He has to take you beyond this second whirlpool of God. The first whirlpool of God is at 5th point. The second whirlpool at the 10th point, beyond the 10th point, the master has to carry you to take you towards the shore. So, when the jiva ascends to this moral plane, the self no longer remains a silent spectator. It gives approval from within. A voice is heard from within, well done. The self now no longer remains a mere witness. It gives assent. It upholds the jiva's actions and expresses appreciation. Suppose a hungry man comes to your door when you have just sat down to eat and you give your plate of food to him. When you remember this good act in the night, you will experience a different kind of joy. The self will say softly, "You have indeed acted well." When a mother pats her child on the back and says, "Well done, my boy," he feels that he has got the highest possible reward. And that we experience with when Master looks at you and smiles, our heart is filled with joy. Likewise, such words from the Lord from within encourage us and provide us impetuous to do better. The jiva at this stage stands on the moral plane, leaving the life of self indulgence behind. We will stop here and continue with the rest. It just amazes me every time I read this master Vinobha Bhave, from whose book we are reading talks on the Gita by Vinobha Bhave. So let us all now meditate.